Carlisle, Pennsylvania is a town that bears a striking resemblance to many of the other suburban communities that dot the map along the Keystone State's southern border. But there's one major distinguishing characteristic that sets Carlisle apart: the Carlisle Fairgrounds, and what unfolds there each and every year. An event that gathers well over 1,000 Corvettes from every point of the compass for a full-blown weekend of unabashed vet worshiping that bears the name Corvettes at Carlisle. This is the 15th annual edition of this Festival of Fiberglass, a graphic indication of how solidly devoted Corvette owners and admirers continue to be some 40-plus years after the vet was born. Chip Miller and Bill Miller, the chief executives of Carlisle Productions and the founders of this and a bunch of other automotive expos at Carlisle, point out some of the starring attractions at the show.
The Fun Field idea was conceived 4 years ago by Dave Bray, one of our show field participants. And he said, you know, we ought to have something that's not quite as structured as every other show field. And Dave said, you know, people could bring their normal driver cars or anything else to the show and still have an opportunity to participate and be part of the show. And that's how the whole thing came about, and it expanded from about 150 cars the first year to over 1,200 this year.
This is the swap meet. These 3,000 spaces are full of anything you can ever think of for your Corvette, including the Corvette themselves.
Those who want to subject their vets to intense judging scrutiny can enter the National Corvette Restoration Societies or National Council of Corvette Clubs competitions. It's here that vets like Richard Huff's pristine 56 Corvette, complete with an operating power top, or Don Heisen's tremendously rare 63 split-window coupe with fuel injection, both take the spotlight. Then again, how often do you see something like a priceless Corvette Grand Sport? Oh, about as often as a Callaway Speedster, or the very last ZR1 that Chevy ever built. If you want to see a lot of ZR1s, the official ZR1 reunion at this year's Corvettes at Carlisle drew over 400 of them. There was also a massive turnout of what are called Ruby Reds, the 40th anniversary model Corvettes that all wear that striking burgundy paint. If there was ever a doubt that the Corvette has always been the unchallenged benchmark American sports car, one look at John Marr's 500 horsepower ZL1 Corvette or Chris McCloskey's muscle-bound 1968 L88 Roadster will erase those doubts immediately.
You know, there's the guys that can remember that when they were in high school in the 7th grade, their first girlfriend, they can't remember if they were going out with her, for her, or because her brother owned a Corvette. But everybody has a Corvette story, and there's millions and millions of them that you see here over the years and around the country.
Corvettes and beautiful women somehow seem to share this eternal bond. And the Miss Corvettes at Carlisle pageant clearly underscored that concept. Carmela Vinci of Long Island, New York took the honors, along with a $500 cash prize. As the owner of a 1990 ZR1, she certainly brought the proper qualifications to the job. The Corvettes at Carlisle weekend would be far from complete without the annual Corvette Parade down Main Street, Carlisle, a procession that takes about an hour and a half to complete and draws just about every resident of Carlisle to the curb for this motorcade of Motown muscle. By now, if you don't already own a vet, you have just got to get your hands on one. So there are a couple of ways to do it. First, there's the Bobby Gold auction that gavels off dozens of vets to the highest bidder. And if that's too emotionally challenging.
This entire area that you're looking at here is our car corral. In the early 70s, what we did was come up with this idea of having an auction at our car shows. People are a little leery of auctions. You know, they have to buy a car within a couple of minutes. So we had this idea that why don't we just have a big used car lot that has nothing but collector cars in it. And it all came to pass in 1977 with our first spring event, and we tried it and people loved it.
Of course, you could always win yourself a Corvette. The final item on the agenda at each Corvettes at Carlisle is the raffling off of a collector quality Corvette. This year, it's a 1990 ZR1. Tickets are free with your admission, and you have to be present to win. As a huge crowd looked on, the new Miss Corvettes at Carlisle, Chip and Bill Miller, all teamed up to announce the winning number.
Winning number 019247.
And there's your winner, James Morrison from North Carolina, who then tried his new Corvette on for size with his sister Terry. Is this a great country or what? Then, before you know it, the curtain comes down on another Corvettes at Carlisle, and plans begin almost immediately for next year's bash, which is expected to be even bigger. What's our best advice to you?
Hey, see you next year at Corvettes at Carlisle.